I'm Gene Grant. Thanks for joining us this week as we count down the top stories of the past year. What news, events, and stories were most important to you and your family? I'd like to know that. Get in touch with us on our website, newmexicoinfocus.org, or you can connect with us on Facebook or Twitter. Let's get started. We have a great group of reporters and editors with us this week, starting with Russell Contreras, a reporter with the Associated Press. Julianne Grimm, she's editor of the Santa Fe Reporter. Trip Jennings is back. He's executive director of New Mexico In Depth. And we have our regular line panelist, Rob Nikolewski from watchdog.org. Our countdown begins with number 10, of course, the proposed Gila River Diversion Project. Discussion about this controversial project has been going on for years, certainly. But in 2015, the Interstate Stream Commission approved the creation of an entity to plan and build the diversion project. Commissioners also later approved 2 contracts to companies that would work on that project, but there's still a lot of questions about what it would cost and whether the cost would be worth the water that could be pulled from the Gila for human use. Julianne Grimm, and I have to say, Laura Paskus, one of the great reporters, did a terrific story in August on this at your newspaper. This story, I'm so glad this getting us going, guys, at number 10, because this lit off a lot of people, Julianne. People were 45,000 petition signatures to the Interior Secretary Jewell to stop this thing, but it happened anyway. Why did this become such a big story in New Mexico over the past year? Why was it so huge for people?
I think there's a couple reasons. Of course, the money that you mentioned is a big deal. You know, this project is in a remote area of New Mexico. It's next to the Gila Wilderness Area, which is a wilderness area for that obvious reason. Right. There aren't a lot of people there. There's not a lot of industry there. And so the population of the 4 counties that are affected here is something like 62,000 people. If you look at the scope of a major infrastructure project like the Buckman Direct Diversion in Santa Fe, it was about a $240 million project. They're going to spend $1 billion to bring water to 62,000 people, and that's an outside number, Gene, because there's still a lot of question about who in that area of the state would actually be able to tap into this water system and how much water would really be produced for municipal purposes. And there's, I think the big reason is that there are a lot of questions and there are a lot of things that seem illogical when you compare them to other.
And Rob Nikolewski, part of that illogic, if you will, is the idea that you could take that $1 billion and use them for other types of programs that are in that area to save just as much water or conserve just as much water. Like, there's another way to do it, but that didn't happen. So what we have now is a decision. So what happens next for people? How are we supposed to take this all in? We've got a lot of different constituencies this is going to affect.
Well, the Interior Department has signed off on this thing. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Okay. And also the $1 billion figure is pushed back upon by the Interstate Stream Commission. They say it's not that much. The last I heard was they were expecting $128 million more. So this thing is a real one versus the other sort of thing, where you've got environmentalists who want to have a free-flowing river, and so you've got Senator Udall in favor of it. Then you've got Representative Pierce, who's against it, and you've got people down in the Southwest who want this thing to go through, just like Representative Pierce wants it to go through. So what I find striking about this story is that there is very little daylight between the two sides. I mean, you're either for it or you're against it, and if you're for it, you're foursquare for it, and if you're against it, you're foursquare against it.
By the way, Trip Jennings, the feds have promised, Rob mentioned a number, about 128 million, 25 million, somewhere around there. That's a long stretch, though, from a completed number to finish the project. This is what hangs up a lot of people. This could take a decade. Could take forever to do.
There's the monetary aspect, but then you've got also questions about kind of like water and rainfall and precipitation actually in the West, and how that's going to feed into the river, frankly. Then there are some questions actually, what's on the other end of this thing, the diversion channel? This is near Lake Arizona, right? Is there something going to happen there as far as like a big development? Right. I mean, not to bring this in, but water is money in the West, and I'm thinking of that great film Chinatown. You always wonder what interests are out there.
That's right.
But mainly, I sit here and think about the rainfall, the precipitation. You do have all these interests that are actually at crosswise on this thing. Little light. There's also the accounting of water in the West.
Exactly right. Russell Contreras from AP, good to see you. And you're reporting on this as you've covered it as well. This is a big deal for us. These kind of things almost define New Mexico.
Absolutely.
This is the last undammed river or untouched river in the state. So the symbolism here is enormous for people. I ask again, if in fact this comes to pass and we find ourselves in a much different position here, how does that in fact impact New Mexico and our tourism, all these other angles that we talk about ourselves to the rest of the country? How does that work if that in fact happens?
Tripp brings up a good point. Water is money out here in the West. And I think in this discussion, the diversion project was a diversion from other water issues which we should be discussing. That is our lack of infrastructure in our municipalities, the fact that we aren't pushing the municipalities to pass bonds to beef up their infrastructure so that we can apply for federal funds to build these better infrastructures. And I think this diversion is a result of that, of our lack of leadership, of having that discussions with our municipalities and say, look, it's time to pay up. Yes, you can't afford it, but now your structures are so aging, you need an improvement. There's nothing we can do. So this diversion, I think, from the water is a cause from an effect that is happening in this state of the discussion of water.
Interesting. Good point there. Let's wrap that up. Let's move on to our number 9 on our list of top stories for 2015. Economic development is number 9, always an important topic here. And this year we covered several big stories related to economic development on New Mexico in Focus. The approval of the proposed Santa Elena development west of Albuquerque. Google moving Titan Aerospace to California was another. And the recent news that oil and gas revenues for next year are down again. And Russell Contreras, starting with you, what do you think was the biggest economic development story of the year for you as you sit from your position?
I mean, I think the volatile oil prices were big. It affects everything. Right now, as the legislators talking about what money should be spent on this, they're dealing with less money. And of course, they're wrangling. And everybody's coming up with ideas, well, you know, the oil prices may go up, so we should plan that way. Well, we don't know. And that affects us, and it highlights how reliable we are with energy. And it goes into all of this discussion where you're talking about San Juan or you're talking about wind. Everything is centered on that. So these small things that we have about Google or say Santa Elena, those are all important, but the oil, we're so reliable on that. So the volatility that when it happens affects us all, from schools down to police, funding of police.
Good point. 2015 will mark that time we hit, Tripp Jennings, at $40 a barrel, which is a problem line for us here, isn't it?
It's extraordinary, actually. Was it $10, Rob? $10 a barrel. It's $10 million in the state budget, right? Is that a dollar for 10 million?
Yeah, I believe it's
a dollar. So yes, I mean, basically, it's going to be really interesting in the legislative session, frankly, seeing these legislators.
Let me ask you this. Staying with Russell's point, does the reliance on oil and gas somehow impact our efforts on economic development? Is it a fallback for us that we're not putting as much as we could be into economic development?
I actually think in some ways that this is a big picture historic kind of like thing here. We've got so many minerals in this state. We're focused on that. And sometimes over the course of decades, it's easy to rely on that revenue and not develop other things. That's my big picture take on New Mexico, is that you've had this money coming in, and frankly, when I got here in the state in 2005, it was $100 a barrel. And so they were swimming in the dough. And now we're having what's happening with Saudi Arabia and everything else affecting it here. And it's going to be a long-term kind of, we're being helped at the gas pumps, you and I. But the state is not going to be.
The other thing, if I could jump in, is the gas or the oil prices they're big. But the other leg to this two-legged animal here is natural gas. Natural gas actually has a slightly a larger impact on the state budget than oil does. An LFC report from about 5 years ago said that for every dollar of natural gas that goes up, the price goes up, that New Mexico gets something like $10 million in the state general fund. And natural gas prices have been depressed for a long time too, and I don't think that's any coincidence. That's
interesting.
That's partly why we're struggling.
We're at a minute, Julianne, on this one, and I'm interested. We have a closing fund here, something that just recently comes to light here in New Mexico for economic development. We have a closing fund, but we're not spending a lot of it because we're not making deals to close on, basically. Our economic development secretary says, oh, taking a prudent approach, trying to do it very slowly. There's another side saying, wait, it's $50 million. Let's make something happen with this $50 million. Is this endemic of how we approach economic development here? We have the money, but we're not quite sure how we spend the money.
I mean, I think it's no surprise that it's difficult to lure large businesses to New Mexico, and I think the well-publicized failures of recent years should be a lesson that we should really think about putting all that economic development energy into the small businesses that could grow into large businesses in New Mexico. And I think that's where there's a little bit of hope on the horizon here. It's really, I think, encouraging to see that of the investments that have been made from the fund you just mentioned, several of them went into local food and beverage producers. And I think that there's a lot of energy around that topic. There's a lot of energy for consumers in New Mexico to buy local and stay true, to use that tourism in an economic development sense. So I think that's encouraging. You see businesses like Santa Fe Brewing Company got a big grant from the state to build a wastewater treatment system at their new expanded facility in Santa Fe County. So I think those kind of investments could maybe go further for our state, and that's where you have a little bit of optimism.
Sure.
Maybe.
In 20 quick seconds, Rob Nikolewski, it seems like we've entered an era where government helping business, almost like a direct result. Does that square with you from a libertarian? You're not a true libertarian, but you know what I'm saying.
From a free market
Free market
standpoint,
person. Thank you.
I'll say that.
Better said. Does that work for you? That the government, or are our hands tied here? We must do this to help our businesses.
Well, I think the bottom line is pragmatism. If something works, let's try it. And we've got two big projects that haven't worked. The Rail Runner doesn't go to places where people want to go. That was a large amount of money. The spaceport was $280 million. Spaceport didn't do very much this year. And Bill Richardson at the time, or right after he left office, said, spaceport is going to be my lasting legacy. He might be eating those words.
There you go, Victor. Up next, Victor Limery from Tolland Market tells us about growing up in a family business and what he's learned from his years of entrepreneurship.